Good afternoon, and very warm welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show and our World Cup daily show, looking at all the latest goings on in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. I'm Chris Bell, like I say, joined by Gareth Walker. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, very well, mate. Enjoyed the games last night. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad at all. Also, certainly enjoyed the games last night. We will get on to those in a moment or two. Don't forget, get in touch with us here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. You can follow us on social media. We are on X at W Yorks Football, and then also on Facebook as well. Just search for us on there. The easiest way, though, whilst we're live, is to give us drop us a comment on the YouTube channel as we go live. We'll try and get out your thoughts and views as we go. Let us know your thoughts and views on the tournament so far on the whole, on the upsets that we saw last night, and the games ahead as well. Let's start then by looking back to last night's games. We'll go through them in order UK time. The one that we certainly saw as an even game didn't possibly throw up a surprise in the end. Brazil overcoming Japan by 2-1, but leaving it extremely late to do so.
Yeah, we weren't sure how that one was going to go, were we really? Because we've seen good and bad of Brazil. Brazil have improved, did improve as the group went on. So did Japan, to be fair. I thought they were poor in the first game and improved as it went on. We know Japan are a counter-attacking side. We know that Brazil don't have legs in midfield. And for the first half, it was a game of two halves, really, I thought first half, Japan were the better side, deservedly got the goal and went in front, did everything right that you'd expect them to do to put pressure on that Brazil midfield. And then Carlo Ancelotti, the old magician, worked his magic at half-time and did what we've seen him do so many times and turned the game on its head, because Brazil were a totally different side in that second half. Got the 2 goals and probably on the face of it, thoroughly deserved to win the game come the 95th minute when Martinelli got the goal. I mean, it's a great goal. The second goal is a great goal. It's a great bit of vision from Guimaraes, and then it's a good finish from Martinelli. So just as we were slagging him off in the group, I think, weren't we?
Well, Jay was. Jay doesn't rate Martinelli. I don't quite see what Jay sees. I think he's a pretty good player myself, and a lot of Premier League, so I think would take him. It's fair to say. Ultimately, I was a little bit disappointed with Japan, sadly. It's a Japan squad that, on the face of it, I think is one of their better ones for years. And the problem is, it's not just this game. We've seen it in other games, in particular, the Netherlands game and even you can say the Sweden game in the group stage as well. That for all the quality technical ability they have, they just don't attack quite like you would expect them to, or as much as you would expect them to. And that certainly was the case yesterday, when they really were just sitting in and trying to do all they could to kind of hold on to the draw for most of the second half and force extra time. And obviously when you do that, you're always at risk of conceding later on and going out.
Yeah, they couldn't really respond, could they, after Brazil sort of took the initiative at the start of the second half? They didn't really have the answer to it. We do know that they are a very counter-attacking side. They don't really know, or they don't play to have the ball, if you will. They play to pinch the ball and then break quickly. And you felt that they could have had a little bit more of a go, didn't you, really? You just felt it was always a case of which Japan were going to turn up, because we've seen them play very well and we've seen them not be great as well. And like I say, just as much as it was a game of two halves for Brazil, it felt like it was a game of two halves for Japan. And after they got that lead, they just didn't really do enough to punish Brazil. And by the time Ancelotti got them in at half-time and tweaked his tactics and everything, and they didn't have the answer, Japan.
No, they did not. But it is Brazil that go through. Obviously, for them, they will play the winners of the Ivory Coast versus Norway, which we'll come on to one of tonight's games. The second game, UK time, was this one. Germany won, Paraguay won, and then thrilling penalty shootout as well in the end. Wasn't necessarily the best of games, certainly not in the first half. But yeah, what a result in the end for Paraguay to win it on penalties.
Yeah, I've seen a few people complaining that the expansion of the World Cup has led to too many teams playing a low block, and it's affected the quality of the games. You can't deny teams like Paraguay the chance to go up against these teams, and if they can pull off an upset, then then fair enough to them. I mean, people were saying Germany weren't great, and they weren't. Obviously, we saw them win 7-1 in one of the group games. So we know they've got quality, but they just didn't show it, did they? They were more like the Germany of the last two group games, where they sort of laboured a little bit. I thought in the last group game that they played, when they lost to Ecuador, they didn't really start pushing until they fell a goal, until they went behind. And yeah, it was just one of those games where Germany didn't look the team of the past, and Paraguay, obviously, the goal that they get is a recycled set piece. Neuer, who has come out of retirement actually for the World Cup, punches it clear, and Paraguay recycle it and score on the second phase. And then the Germans in the second half, to be fair to them, they had a go. They got the goal, the header from Havertz from the Wirtz cross. Again, it's a second phase of a set piece, and then they had the goal disallowed. I thought it was harsh. I thought it was real. I think you did too, didn't you, mate?
Yeah.
It was really harsh. It was one of those where he does kind of impede the keeper, but I don't think there's enough there for the keeper to go down and get the goal disallowed. So in that respect, they were a bit unlucky. But once it went into extra time, you had this sneaky feeling that if Germany needed to score, which obviously they did, but the Paraguay held firm. There were a lot of pressure from the Germans without really creating too much. There was the moment in the second half, you could tell that in the second half of extra time, you could tell they were getting frustrated when Musiala lunged in. Frustration was building. But you didn't expect the one thing you didn't expect was for it to go to penalties and for the Germans to lose, because the Germans have only ever lost one penalty shootout in a major tournament, and that was in the Euros final in 1976. They've never lost a penalty shootout in a World Cup until last night.
Yeah, it was quite a remarkable stat, I guess, going into that shootout. I mean, I thought extra time in itself was superb. I thought extra time was probably the best half an hour of football we saw. It kind of seemed to open up a little bit bizarrely at times. End-to-end game. A lot of needle and rash challenges came in, to be fair, from both sides, but obviously in particular, you can see that German frustration come out. And then for Paraguay to win it on pens, obviously they did it the hard way on penalties as well, because Sanabria could have wrapped it up for a 4-2 penalty win, and he sticks it well wide. The one man you'd expect to be able to bury it is a kind of their experienced striker in the squad. Matase made it hard work. Then Jonathan Tah, after having that goal ruled out, unfortunately blasted his penalty over the bar, and it's wrapped up by one of the Paraguay centre halves. And they've declared today a national holiday by their president, their prime minister. Yeah, today is a national holiday in Paraguay. I can't imagine anybody would have been getting much work done in Paraguay the day after that, to be fair. So probably a sensible decision. A couple of comments. Jed in touch as always. Cheers for joining us, Jed. Who saw this coming? Paraguay did. And our very own Brownie Brown, Steve Brown. He's delighted for Paraguay. No doubt that German second should have counted. That's it. It probably should. It's one of those, you look at it, and obviously we will compare the refereeing standards to the Premier League. And if that was in the Premier League, I don't foresee that being disallowed at all. But it's just different thresholds into these tournaments and different ways that foreign referees interpret those sorts of things. So Germany out of the competition in the last 32. On to the final of yesterday's games. Sorry, guys, go on.
I was just going to say what was quite fun. Well, not funny, but interesting was, like you mentioned, Paraguay had 3 chances. Well, it was the third chance that they had to win that penalty shootout that they actually took, because when they missed the second one, and obviously Germany scored and it went level. I said to Susan, my missus, I says, the Germans never lose penalties.
They still managed to do so. Into the game that took place, the 2:00 this morning kickoff UK time, which saw the Netherlands and Morocco play out what actually was a really good game, looking at the highlights, and one that I almost stayed up for and then thought, oh, you know what, sod it, I'm not doing it. And in the end, another one that went all the way to penalties, a last-minute equaliser for Issa Diop to cancel out Gakpo's goal. The celebrations for Gakpo's goal I thought was superb, but obviously he's had a really tough week personally, with the loss of a baby and that his partner had lost. And, for him to even play in the first place off the back of that shows a lot of character. For him to get the goal, I thought was superb. But then it came to penalties, and we saw in both the shootouts last night, actually in the Germany game and the Netherlands game, some stinking penalties and some excellent penalties. Sadly, a couple of stinkers from the Netherlands, which saw them go. I'll be honest, I'm genuinely a bit gutted to see the Netherlands go out at this stage because I always like watching them. I said this yesterday. I really wanted them to be the side to go through, not to be.
Yeah, it was another one we struggled to call, didn't we? Yesterday, we weren't quite sure how it was going to go. Again, similar to Japan and Brazil, that is a kind of a case of which Netherlands are going to turn up. Like you say, from the highlights, it looked like a really good game. It's important, like you say, to mention Gakpo because he made the decision to stay after his tragedy. Obviously, for him now, he'll be able to go home and spend the time with his family that he'll desperately need. He got the goal as well. It's a good finish, actually, a decent move and a decent through ball from Somerville, and a good finish from Gakpo. And the celebrations were quite poignant, really. It was quite emotional to watch that. And then Morocco have obviously pushed after going a goal down, and Diop, it's a great header, isn't it? It's a fantastic header in the 91st minute from Diop to equalise. And like you said, then it goes to penalties, and it's one of the most bizarre penalty shootouts I think that I've ever seen. There's just misses left, right, and centre. There's two hit the post. There's one that one of the keepers saves without diving properly, sort of jumps into midair and saves it. And then there's the one where
under Verbruggen as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say the one that squirmed under Verbruggen that obviously trickled over the line and kept Morocco in it, and then they've gone and won it with the sort of the last kick in sudden death. So Morocco will be a problem for anybody. We've said that as we've gone through the tournament. They will be a problem. I think. Just looking now, I think they play.
They play Canada.
They play Canada, yeah. So you could see Morocco. Judging by how Canada done, I thought Canada started the tournament well and have got worse as it's gone on. I could see Morocco making the quarters now quite comfortably, to be honest with you, especially seeing as Canada aren't going to be in Canada. They're going to be in, we looked it up, didn't we? Monterrey. No, Houston.
Houston, yeah. Houston for Canada for that one, for Canada match to go, which is on Saturday. It will be interesting. Obviously, I jokingly said to you yesterday when we were talking about the Germany game and the France-Sweden game, wouldn't it be great if it was Paraguay versus Sweden to come out of that one? Rather than France versus Germany. We're 50% of the way there. The other game takes place tonight at 10. Before that is Ivory Coast versus Norway. This one will see the winner play Brazil. So a really good round of 16 tie in the offing, regardless to me of whoever goes through in this one. But this should be a really good game at 6 o'clock for us. Which is, I was just going to try and double check which channel it is on. It is on the BBC at 6 o'clock. How do you see this one going for a start? It should be a belter.
Yeah, two teams that have impressed, haven't they, so far? The Ivory Coast look really dangerous, really attacking side. We've talked about Diamonde, who's supposed to be going to Paris Saint-Germain. He looks a real player, but they've got threats all over the pitch. The lad on the other side, is it Torre? Bazama Torre, I think he's called, on the left-hand side. He's equally a threat, very, very quick. Norway, we know, we've talked about them as well. People have suggested they could be a dark horse. I think Jay has them down as his dark horse, with the strike power, obviously, of Haaland up front. And the only game where they didn't sort of live up to the potential was the France one, when they made multiple changes and rested players. So it's another one of those that's difficult to call. I could see it being quite a good game, and it's certainly one that I'm looking forward to. I wouldn't put it past that one going the distance, Chris.
Yeah, it'll be. I think it'll be a really interesting watch. That one at 6 o'clock, the Ivory Coast versus Norway. Can Haaland be the difference? Perhaps you wouldn't be surprised if he was. So that's what it came down to. The game at 10 o'clock sees France host Sweden. Look, I think it'd be very easy to look at this one and say, well, sure, that's France all day. But we kind of thought that might be the case with Paraguay and Germany, that Germany should be the side to come through on top. So maybe we're not kind of, maybe we are going to see one or two closer games in games that you would expect it to be kind of one heavy favourite for. Certainly when you factor in Japan and Brazil as well, and obviously we thought that'd be quite even, but again, it was a very tight game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of France, haven't we? Because they're obviously kickoff times have been quite good for us to watch in the UK. I'd argue that barring the first half of their first game, they've probably been the most impressive side so far. Maybe Argentina could lay a claim to that as well. Definitely my favourites to win it based on what I've seen so far. You would expect them to win this game against Sweden. I mean, Sweden shocked everybody with that 5-1 win in the first game, but then they went and lost the second game 5-1. So it's kind of like you don't know what to expect from them. They've got good players as well. We know what they've got up front with Gyökeres and Isak and Elanga. So they've got quality of Sweden. Like you say, you would expect France to do it, though. I really still, based on what I've seen so far of the French, I can't see them not winning that game, and you can clip that tomorrow.
I mean, look, I really hope that we do have to come back and clip that up, to be honest. Machine Joe coming back in saying he feels very Swedish tomorrow. He's joining us from Sydney. I feel very Swedish right now. I'm praying for a Sweden win. Just whatever it takes to dump France out of the competition, because they are obviously the heavy favourites to win it. And to set up what would be a cracking round of 16 games between Paraguay and Sweden, the most unexpected one out of the ties going into that one, I think it would be. And Jed just making the point, he said yesterday, and he did, that this is the FA Cup round. We've seen it already.
It does feel like that, doesn't it? Like you say, with the Paraguay and the German game, and obviously now we could have another one with France-Sweden. Yeah, it feels like the upset. This could be the round for the upsets if there's going to be any. It's like I said at the start, like some people are complaining that the expansions led to too many of the tournaments, led to too many teams playing a low block, but if it leads to upsets, it's kind of like worth it, isn't it? As long as there's not one in every single game. You want to see the odd upset. You want to see these teams come and upset the big boys every now and again. And we certainly got that last night. And there's a chance, albeit a small one, for another one tonight. Like you say, the reason that people want France out is because they're seen as the threat. They're seen as the team that could win it, that they've been the most impressive so far. So obviously, if you can get rid of them, it opens it up for everybody else. Thankfully, at the moment, I was just looking at the table. They are in the other half of the draw to England. England are on the other half. So we wouldn't meet them or Spain until a final. So, but still, if we can get them out, let's get them out.
Yeah, exactly. The final game then for us tonight is the game at 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. And it's one that does affect England, potentially affects England quite a lot, is Mexico versus Ecuador. This game is being played in, when I can find it, Mexico City Stadium. So you've got that home backing for the Mexicans in this game against Ecuador. It's hard to look past Mexico for this one in their home stadium. But again, knowing that the fact that the winner of this time will play the winner of England versus Congo, and desperately hoping that it is going to be England to get through, I'm really hoping for an Ecuador win, because that would also be in Mexico in the round of 16 should England make it.
Yeah, that game wouldn't just be in Mexico. It'd be in the Azteca at high altitude as well, if we were to win that, if we were to go through and play against them. So we'd be up against the home crowd and their favourite, the conditions that probably favour them as well. It's like we were saying about France, isn't it? Because we'd rather play Ecuador, we want Mexico out of the competition. Mexico have been quietly impressive so far, quietly gone about the business, obviously won the group, and I think that means that they play most of, if not all of their knockout games at home. Ecuador, nobody expected them to beat Germany. They looked dead and buried after the first two group games.
It was that German rotation, though, wasn't it, that really helped the Ecuadorians, sadly to say.
They hadn't scored, had they? They hadn't scored, I don't think, before that game. And obviously went and got the job done. And you struggle to see past a Mexico victory, but as we've talked about so far, shocks have happened and shocks will happen again. I just can't look past them at home with the home crowd and the way they've played so far versus the way Ecuador have played in general. I can't see past a Mexico victory, but anybody that wants to stay up till 2 a.m. and watch it might get to see one. Yeah,
it could be a pretty good game, to be fair. Like you always, we've seen, I think, so far from these, in particular from these two sides, that whilst Ecuador hadn't scored prior to the Germany game in their group game, they did have a go. They had plenty of chances. I think of the game that they had against the Ivory Coast, I think it was, in the opening group game for them, and they just didn't take the chances on the day. So it could be an interesting one. Hopefully, not quite as much of a foregone conclusion as it feels like it is for a Mexico win. Machine shows you he's put up. He thinks Mexico lost twice out of 98 games of the Azteca. I don't know if it's 98, but it is. I think I'd heard it was in the 80s. on the radio the other day, and it is only a couple of defeats at home, and that's what makes it such a scary prospect. Obviously, if Mexico get through, and England were to have to face them in the Azteca, it would certainly be the biggest challenge we've had so far, and that's putting it politely, I think.
I think that game would kick off at like really early hours of Monday morning as well. I saw something yesterday.
Check. So let me have a look. It would be at 1 a.m. on Monday morning. Mexico or Ecuador versus England or Congo, Monday 1 a.m. on the 6th of July. Yeah, that's right. Which is not ideal.
Frightening stat that from Joe. Frightening stat. They're just formidable at home, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are indeed. Let's just before we wrap up, just quickly have a look then at how the schedule pans out. As I say, this is the full round of 32 schedule. So we are where are we now? We're down there on the 30th of June with Ivory Coast versus Norway, Sweden France versus Sweden, Mexico, Ecuador tonight. Tomorrow sees England play Congo at 5, Belgium versus Senegal at 9, and the USA versus Bosnia and Herzegovina at 1. So tomorrow night, at least, Gaz, 3 games with what I would class in this World Cup at least as reasonable kickoff times.
Yeah, definitely the 5 and the 9 one. But like you say, even the 1 o'clock.
The 1 o'clock's not so bad compared to what we've seen at this World Cup with games at 4 and 5, kicking off at 4 and 5 in the morning. I can stomach a 1 a.m. so at least half time.
Yeah, it's the 3 o'clock ones that get me because you've just no chance. I mean, like you say, the 1 o'clock, you kind of stay up late. You think when I was on a night out when I was younger, it might be 3 before I got to bed anyway, so that's not too bad. 5 o'clock one, get up early like a milkman and watch it. But those 3 o'clock ones are the killer, aren't they? So you're right, mate. It's not the worst, that USA Bosnia game. It could be a lot worse. Obviously, the 5 and the 9 are ideal, but if people want to stay up, they can easily do that compared to a 3 a.m. one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the schedule for tonight, Ivory Coast, Norway on the BBC, and then the next 2, France, Sweden, Mexico, Ecuador on ITV, England on BBC tomorrow night, Belgium, Senegal on ITV, and then the USA Bosnia on the BBC as well. Jed, just the last time that we played Mexico, we lost to Brazil in 1970, and John Banks made a classic save. Were you around for that one, Gaz?
No, not even me, mate. Not even I'm old enough for that. No. I remember my first World Cup was 1990, so it's 20 years before my time. But it's a save, isn't it, that we've seen many, many times and replayed over the years. It's classed as one of the greatest saves of all time, and Gordon Banks, obviously from Pele, how he gets down and tips it round the post, I don't think anyone knows, but it's a fantastic save.
Yeah, absolutely. Then short, sharp one tonight, this afternoon, just to get through the show and get looking ahead to those games tonight. Enjoy them wherever you're watching the games tonight from. I'll be back tomorrow at some stage. I'm not quite sure who with yet. It's yet to be confirmed. But I will probably be back at some point tomorrow, looking ahead, of course, to the England game at 5 o'clock as well. Gaz, thanks for joining me today, mate, and yesterday as well.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Enjoyed it as always. I'll speak to you soon, bud.
I will indeed. Enjoy the rest of your, what are we on now? Tuesday, whatever you get up to. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. You'll get notifications whenever we go live, whether that's club content or international content during the World Cup. But we will see you again soon here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. Take care.